And talk a little bit, for the audience to know a little bit about what Pix does.
So we are pretty much working on product as a service. So we provide infrastructure for originators. We have an originator branch ourselves, and we help service portfolios of asset-backed securities that have been sold to a securitization vehicle. We
Fantastic.
currently monitor over 16 billion reais in portfolios in Brazil.
Amazing. So here we have two aspects of embedded finance. Here we have the credit aspect of it. I think we can discuss a lot, especially about new products that we have, like the workers' credit and things like that we're going to discuss soon. And the other part on insurance as well. When you combine both things, we have a lot of amazing possibilities in Brazil. But starting with you, Caroline, can you tell us a little bit about what makes Brazil such a fertile ground for innovation and everything that we see? And of course, I think throughout the discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about cases, which I think helps illustrate a little bit more on what's going on. So,
absolutely. I think Brazil is really interesting as a case because it's some kind of paradox. So in one hand, we have a super friendly regulator, the central bank. The CVM is also very friendly. They've been
which is the SEC in Brazil.
Yeah,
right?
the Brazilian SEC, yes. Yeah. So they've been putting forward this positive regulation for over 15 years now that have been fostering the system as a whole.
Yeah.
And as a nation, we are very digitalized. So we are over 200 million people that live inside our phone. So we use delivery apps, we use mobility apps, we use WhatsApp on a daily basis. So you have a perfect playground for embedded finance, but obviously it comes with challenges. We were just out here and someone mentioned Brazil is not for amateurs. We love to say that in Brazil. You
say a
probably
lot.
know
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, and it's true, right? Because although you have all of these aspects that I just mentioned, it doesn't come without difficulties. And I could name some of them. The fact that the population in general, some of them live on low income, which means older phones, sometimes lousy Wi-Fi connectivity. So there are, one of the challenges that I like to mention is the fact that although origination can be done on a fully digital way nowadays, funding is still running on analog trails.
Exactly.
So that's definitely something that has to be approached. But I would say as a whole, we have basic infrastructure out there, and the regulators have been working towards that. However, we lack connectivity. So it's like a Babel tower of some kind, meaning that you have all of this infrastructure that it's not necessarily talking to each other. So if you want to provide embedded finance solutions, you necessarily have to work in stitching all of this technology that is out there. And
Exactly.
That's what we've been working on at Pix.
And basically how you guys do that and try to stitch that together to deliver embedded credit as a scalable model, just like you do.
Yeah, that's interesting because you always think you have to build new technology.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily like to approach it like that. Of course, there is technology that has to be built, but mostly we like to think of it as orchestration intelligence.
Yeah.
So we like to work towards integrating what's out there already. We like to work on what we call modular orchestration. Mm-hmm. And to better explain that, you have to think that credit, no matter the UX you're thinking, no matter the product you're thinking, there are some basic steps that are always happening on the background. I mean, you're working on data validation, you're working on credit scoring, you're working on settlement, you're working on servicing collections, and so on. I mean, there are these basic steps that you have to consider if you are looking to provide credit to someone. And we think of these as modules or components. Yep. So you have these macro components, and inside the components you have parameters. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go and approach this at scale, you have to have flexible parameters, because the kind of components that you use when providing credit to individuals are not necessarily the same components that you're going to use when providing credit to small and mid-sized companies.
Yeah.
So it's like a Lego basically, and the smaller the pieces are, the more parameters you have in your ecosystem, the more flexible and versatile your product's gonna be at scale. And the end game here is we want customization at scale. That's what we aim for. And well, obviously, insurance is one of the parameters that we use. I mean, some products have insurance, and they might have different insurance policies depending on what you're actually aiming for with that product. So that's what we work on.